film becomes not, there's not enough variety. It's always the same character.
Who else would you say represents this, kind of old school masculinity in roles that are not period pieces? Like Mad Men is obviously, not a contemporary show. So
yes,
are there films these days or actors that are representing that same kind of masculinity, but in a contemporary story?
Yeah, strangely enough, it's funny that you asked. I find that in theater, for example, there are more actors that are more grounded than in film. Usually, right now, and I'm not sure if this is an unfortunate thing for American cinema, but I find that most of the actors that play the solid men come from either Australia or England or Germany. There's a few actors from Germany that are incredible. But, and I know the reason. The reason is that in England and in Europe, actors are trained differently. And so the actors usually that are very powerful and solid and still, and that, when you watch them, you feel they know who they are, they know where they're going, and I can trust this individual.
There's a certainty about their
There's a
presence.
certainty in them. Russell Crowe is probably he plays always these characters that are certain of who they are, and they go and get what they want. You see, Clive Owen is another one. You see, but again, they're foreign-born, and there's when you called and you said you were interested in this article, I thought there is a huge lack. There's a huge lack of that kind of men in this country, and Liev Schreiber is one. I think again he's a theater actor. I mean, he does a lot of theater, but when he does film, there's a masculinity there, and there's a solidity and a clarity, and there's weight. There's weight to him. But there is a huge lack. How
would you categorize Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Matt Damon?
Well, I think George Clooney is more on that. I would say that he's one of those men. But he also tends to, there's a very soft side to him, and there's a jokester in there. He can do comedy really easily.
Well, the Ocean's 11 series that has all three of them, they're very, manly guys, but there's a comedic ensemble sense to it.
I think with Brad Pitt, I've always liked his work, and I think he's really a remarkable actor. But there's something mercurial about him that he's still a beautiful man, a really, really beautiful. And there's less solidity to him, and there's much more this fluidity to his. I'm not sure that people would find him sort of like a very solid man, or I don't think he's a Cary Grant.
I think fluid was a good word for it, because he is confident.
He's charming. He has a sort of like a Peter Pan quality, where where you certainly would want to spend the evening with him, or you would certainly want to spend a vacation.
Whatever.
Whatever, right? Yeah. But and he does have power, but it's a different kind of power.
There's a boyishness to it.
There's a boyishness even now. Even now.
And probably always will be.
And will always have. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And Matt Damon, like in the Bourne series.
Matt Damon is still a young boy playing a secret agent. There's a boyishness to him that he'll always have. And I think that they're counting on it. No matter what he does. Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio, if you watch them, what they're trying to do with their faces is they're trying to make themselves older by kind of, they're creating wrinkles that are not there in order to look more tough.
They have to work work to get that
But
effect.
still, if you listen to their voices and you watch their body movement, it's still very youthful. There's something very youthful about it. Not weighty enough in the way that Cary Grant, for example, he was elegant and solid and powerful in a very unusual way. Or Burt Lancaster, for example, these actors that really were models of masculinity. You know,
I'm curious to know. I hadn't thought of this before, but Paul Newman.
Paul Newman, and James Dean. You know, they all went to the Actors Studio, and in the Actors Studio, they worked very much on connecting with the inner truth.
Right.
That's what the method was all about. And that inner truth often involved accepting the conflict. And so I think both of them were they were shifting into a different kind of masculinity.
Kind of beginning to show the vulnerability.
Exactly. And but both of them also were very truthfully alive in their bodies, in their masculine bodies. So their masculinity was very real and very authentic, very powerful. Paul Newman was actually much more stable than Jimmy Dean.
But certainly it brought in a new level of the authenticity of what men really are.
and also being in touch more with your inner conflict of identity, you know, and also, you know, of our history, you know, of where we grew up and what, you know, how we grew up. And
how that defines us.
Exactly.
Right.